Perfect. There we go.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Technology for Good show. We're doing this show today from a hotel room in Vegas. Oh, don't ask. It was a long night last night. Let's just.
It was. It didn't end all that early or all that long ago for me, actually.
Like
so, yeah, absolutely fabulous. Very, very good week.
So we're here in Vegas for the SAP Tech Ed and Decode event, which is SAP's developer event. And with me, I have Chris Kernan, my first time having a co-host in situ with me rather than dialing in remotely.
Absolutely.
Chris, you've co-hosted before. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
It is not a pleasure, or it is a pleasure. It is absolutely a pleasure being up so early. Yeah, we'll leave that one for later. But no, I'm thrilled to be here. You mentioned it last night, and I just thought I've got to go and be a co-host again because I enjoy it so much. Thank you very much.
I have to admit, a serious lack of prep for this morning's show.
That is my fault. Sorry.
But what I will say is, the Tech Ed and Decode event that we've just been to for the last few days has been really interesting.
Oh yeah, no, massively.
You might be a little bit biased, Chris, you being an SAP employee, but on the other hand, I know you to be not to be swayed by that.
No, absolutely.
What were your impressions of the show?
I thought the show was really good this year. SAP in last year's Tech Ed, they started down this journey of this developer enablement and this developer focus. It has been going on for a while. But I think we really saw that this year because there was the hackerspace, there was the hacker night, there was InnoJam returning to its roots. We had the mini code jams where I think they expect to do maybe 400 or 500 over the course of the week, and in 2 days they did about 1,800 check-ins. This was just unreal. That level of enablement they were showcasing on the show floor was fantastic, and the attendees just loved it.
Yeah, and they had an interesting IoT space in the event as well, and it was cool. You could sit down, you could try stuff out, which I really liked. But towards the end, I mean, they were live making an IoT scarecrow.
Yes.
And at the end, they got it to work, and I got a video of it. I got to publish it. But in the video I have, they sent a tweet to the scarecrow, and the scarecrow blinked its eyes, moved its head, moved its arms, and then fired a Nerf gun at a series of transparent plastic cups and knocked them down.
I missed that. I saw it taking shape over the days because we're both good friends with Craig and with Ian, and we come down and we see what they're doing, and they weren't building it. There was another very skilled team that were doing it, and I missed the final product, but looking at it yesterday, it actually looked like a scarecrow, and it would move and stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah, and
really,
like I say, I brought my camera down, and literally it was at around 5:30 yesterday afternoon that they finally managed to get the whole thing going, and they could tweet to the scarecrow. So I got a slow-mo video of it, and of it shooting, and I was directly behind the transparent plastic cups, low on the ground, and it shot them, and you can see the Nerf bullets coming in and hitting the cups and being blown over.
If there was ever a good use for slow-mo video, that's it. That is it.
It was great. It was great, and it was such a super event for me. So we've had the SAP viewpoint,
yes,
but for me, there was something strangely good about the event. Something it's intangible, but there was an energy and a positivity about this event that I've not seen at any of the other Decodes or Sapphires that I've been to. Like I said, it's hard to quantify, but it's intangible. Oops, I think we might be getting another guest. Someone's banging on the door. So it was a good event. I talked to several of the companies from the startup focus, and it was phenomenal. And we've got another guest joining us, Nigel. How you doing? Nigel James. So I talked to several of the startup companies from the. This is Nigel James, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Sorry, I'll just jump in and out. So,
Can reel a bit.
Yeah. So I talked to several of the startup companies from the event, and I've got a couple of the pages lined up. I'll show them in a second. But the ones that I thought were super interesting, for me at least, were two. One was called Search Your Cloud, and the other was called Cinerscope. Now, the Search Your Cloud was a really interesting startup, because what they do is they how do I put this? They allow you to save and search for documents within Office 365 on your device at a company level. So you get in your save dialog box, you can save to Dropbox, to Box, to any of the online providers, and that's fair enough. But when you're saving,
yes,
you're saving a document which has been 256 AES encrypted on your device,
yes,
and SSL transported to the cloud and saved, obviously, in the cloud as AES 256 encrypted as well.
Yes,
and that's reasonably cool. That's a nice little add-on to your Office 365. But it does more than that, because what it does, and this is a full Office 365 plugin, so you can access it from any of the Office 365 apps.
Excellent.
But it also builds in search, hence Search Your Cloud.
Sure.
So you can search for any documents you've saved across any, either locally or across any of the cloud providers.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And the search is a natural language search. And even though the documents are 265 encrypted, you've still got full search across them. So it for me it blew me away. It was and the whole thing that these guys have in this app is that it's transparent to the user.
Yeah.
That
it doesn't matter. Did I
you
put that
don't
one in
have to think about
Dropbox or 365 or where did it go? But
and the thing is, like I say, it's transparent to the user. So as a user, you don't even know it's encrypted.
Yeah.
You don't need to know.
It passes the granny test.
And and each user in the organization has their own personalized encryption. And out remote, if someone happens to break into iCloud or whatever, whatever else it's saved,
keys aren't there.
Keys aren't there.
Yeah.
And it's different for anyone. So even if they manage to break one person's, which is would be very difficult.
Exactly.
That's only that one person's. So it's I thought that was really, really nifty.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we've been talking about Tech Ed, Nigel.
Yes,
and we've asked Chris so far his impressions. I've given him my impressions. What was your thoughts on the show?
I think
before you start, maybe you should introduce yourself.
That's probably a good idea. I certainly hope you can hear me, because I lost my voice a little bit during the conference, mostly due to demo jam. I might get to that in a moment. But I'm an Australian. I've flown over here from Sydney, and I work in custom development for SAP systems. Particularly at the moment, we're looking at the SAP UI5 technologies.
But you're not an SAP employee. Who do you work for?
No, I'm an independent consultant. Yeah. So
you're an SAP mentor,
and now an alumni. So
yes, that is true.
That's true. Yes, it is true. But was involved in some of the mentor activities. Anyway, during the week, including a reasonably hilarious, would you say, performance of rendition of the Four Yorkshiremen.
Oh yes, yes, very much so.
So yeah, so we well, just say something about that while I think of it. We were just trying to kind of hand over some, you know, kind of the experience that came from the prior mentors. You know, I was one of the foundational mentors and was a mentor for 5 years or so. And you know, there was just, we felt a body of experience in some of those guys that have now left the program, and kind of wanted to hand it down in a fun way, and kind of included some references into some of the things that we did, and like Dennis Howlett getting a gaping void print for the executives to, you know, to move his point forward and the agenda that he was trying to push at that time. So we just thought it was a fun way to say, you know, it's not, the mentor program's not here for you, you're here for it.
Right.
So get out and do something amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, quality's, you know, job number one, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my impressions, I thought it was a very well.
By the way, I should warn you.
Okay.
We had brutal trouble with the Wi-Fi here.
Yes.
Before
That's why I came over, because
before this started.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if anyone's actually seeing this or if it will ever go live. But
Yeah.
Well, who cares? So I can say something really bad. Yeah, I think it's been a great week. I think Sav have made some steps forward. I think bringing more of the kind of maker kind of approach to the show floor has been a good idea.
we were talking about that just before you came. We were talking about the IoT space, for example.
Sure. Yeah,
and what fun that was.
Yeah, exactly. And they were just, I think it's fine to go to some of these sessions and things and have someone go through a slide deck and whatever, but when you can get down and actually play and plug and put in and write a little bit of thing and go, oh, that moved that thing over there. I was talking about it with one of the new mentors, Chris Ray, and he's very much into electronics and Arduino and all this sort of stuff, and has been for a long, long time. But you know, he was saying that when he's teaching kids, you know, the fact that it's hardware and you can touch it and it's atoms. It's not just bits, atoms.
Yeah.
You can
It's
plug
more
it
tangible.
in. That's right, and you can. There's an LED you've plugged into something, and you write some code and say, turn this LED on. You press the button and it turns the LED on. And go, oh wow, I did that.
Yeah.
So that was really, you know, that sort of experience, I think, was what people enjoyed on the floor.
Yeah.
And you know, continuing the whole IoT theme. You know, it's not just about a little Fitbit or whatever, but you know, there are some pretty massive applications for this sort of technology.
Yeah, so we were talking about the Scarecrow example earlier, and well, that was a lot of fun because, you know, you could tweet to the Scarecrow and it would perform actions based on what you tweeted at it.
Yeah.
But more seriously, there are serious implications for the Scarecrow because, you know, you can get devices like that out in the field which are reporting back, in this kind of case, things like soil humidity. You know, so they've built-in sensors, and therefore, if you're checking against soil humidity and weather forecast, maybe you don't need to turn on the irrigators if it's going to rain in 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever.
Exactly.
You know, and in places like here in Nevada and in California, where they're massively water stressed, you can make huge savings there.
And in Australia as well.
Well, precisely. You know, thinking of, I've been to the Ord River project where they have, it's in the northwest of Western Australia. And there's a massive dam that they've dammed, and they irrigate stuff, and they grow all sorts of things up there. But you know, that sort of, and you know, I'm not sure if it's a big problem, water shortage or anything, but to be able to say, well, actually, we don't need to turn on the sprinklers today because of this, that, or the other, and what we've got here, and what that's about to do, and all that sort of thing. You know, there's potential savings.
Yeah.
It's really not that expensive to roll out a sensor in the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Those sensors are becoming cheaper and cheaper. I was at a Schneider Electric event in Andover in Massachusetts a couple of weeks ago, and the CTO of Schneider talked about how now they can get systems on chips for $2.
Yeah, right.
So you know, when you're and what the implication of that is now that they're going to roll out every single device that they have from here on out with SoCs on them. So everything, and I mean Schneider, I don't know how familiar you are with them, but they're a massively interesting company because they're an old infrastructure player. They're a 175-year-old company.
They're in Paris.
They're based out of Paris. They're headquartered in Paris, but the part of the event I was at was the launch of the North American headquarters in Andover. And the North American headquarters now, it's not just the North American headquarters, but it's also one of their 4 global R&D centers.
Okay.
So for me, the fact that they were citing their headquarters and their R&D center in the same facility spoke volumes for that attitude to R&D. And their global spend on R&D is between 4 and 5% of revenue.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow,
which is amazing.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
And Their revenue in 2013 was 23.5 billion.
Okay.
And they're a company of 152,000 employees.
Wow.
That's a large chunk of change going in there.
And nobody's heard of them.
Yeah.
I mean, had you heard of Schneider before today?
Well, from a consulting background, yes, I had. So yes, they are a large SAP customer. So
Okay.
yeah, I was aware of who they were. But
most people you talk to wouldn't have heard of them because their infrastructure, their background, but they are an IoT player, and and they've been an IoT player for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
They're building they're building a lot of the infrastructure for utilities, so for water, for gas, for electricity, obviously. They do a lot of water stuff, interestingly, which I hadn't been aware of before I went there. So yeah, and about water savings and things like that. And of course, most of their stuff now, all their stuff from here on out will be addressable. But a lot of their stuff for the last 10 years has been addressable.
Yeah.
So, they've been an IoT player for a long, long time. So, we're seeing this space becoming more trendy now, with the advent of, devices like this. But really, what's more interesting is the kind of agriculture stuff we've been talking about, or the large scale stuff, because when you have a grid, an electricity grid, which is addressable, yeah, sure, you can have, cybersecurity issues.
Yeah.
But one of the points they made at the event, and I thought it was a clever one, was that, yeah, sure, while all this stuff is addressable and there are cybersecurity risks, it's actually more secure when it is remotely addressable, because now if there is an attack, it's traceable.
Yes.
And it's logged.
Yes.
And as a consequence, their attitude is this actually, having it accessible actually makes it more secure.
But it's funny, both of those use cases that you've mentioned about farming and that being interesting, and then also the water case utility. We saw both of those use cases in Demo Jam.
Yeah.
So we did. So those, it is. People are moving in the right direction, and it's not just that some people are going some way and some people are going the other way. People are actually looking at the same use cases and getting some traction and working together and doing some really, really interesting things.
And there's some really interesting things being done in agriculture as well, with drones for crop mapping and stuff like that. The whole space is really opening up some fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I think with I don't know, the current limitation GPS is 3 feet. And when we get Galileo up there, I think it's going to go down to, I think it's less than a foot.
Yeah.
So when you're able to map to that level of precision, that coupled with all the sensor data is going to,
it's going to radically change everything.
It is, yeah, because you're now within 12 inches of your target for farming and stuff. When you've got thousands of acres, that adds up to a lot.
And actually, that brings me, that kind of measurement brings me to another company that I met at this show. I met them at Sapphire as well, same company. I had a great discussion with them there, and I had another discussion with them here. A company called SK Solutions. And did you come across them?
No, it sounds like a Dutch or Danish company. Or?
No, they're actually out of Dubai.
Okay.
And SK stands for the founder's name, Severin Kaizu, I think is how you pronounce his surname. And he's the founder and inventor of what they do. And they've been around for 20 years. But what they do is they instrument, and you may have seen it in the Steve Lucas keynote. I didn't, I missed his keynote because I arrived in late, or I flew in late. But what they do is they put sensors on cranes in construction sites, for example, on not just the cranes, because that's how they started, but also on all the vehicles within the construction site. And also they have RFID tags in the helmets of the employees.
Yes.
And so they track, using a mesh network, they track everything that's going on the site. And if 2 cranes or vehicles are about to crash, they disable them.
Yeah.
So they take the control away, and the cranes literally can't crash. And
fabulous.
Cranes are massively expensive pieces of equipment and potentially dangerous for anyone underneath them if something did happen. And Severin was telling me the kind of figures, and I've forgotten them now, but the kind of figures for fatalities and things like that on sites. The largest site that they have instrumented is one in Dubai or Saudi, one of the two. There's 200 and something cranes on site and 30,000 employees on the construction site.
Just what was it? It was just before the the last recession, I think 1/3 of the world's cranes were in Dubai. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised he's centered in Dubai.
I asked him,
that level of construction.
Red Monk is running an IoT show in London at the start of December called ThingMonk. It's our second one. We had one last year, and I asked him, would he be able to come and speak at it? And he said, "Oh yeah." He said, "We have an office in the UK." He said, "We instrument 40% of the cranes in London."
Wow.
I was amazed. I was amazed. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I got a video of him and talking about it and showing some of the things he's doing. It's really interesting. But there's the fact that they track now, and what reminded me of it was you talking about the Galileo, because they track down to centimeters the proximity of devices and people to each other, so that they can stop accidents from happening. And
the demo that you missed was really quite impressive, because they had 2 spider cranes on the stage and they started moving them around. As they got closer, they basically shut down. And so we saw that exactly what you described.
And we also saw Steve Lucas in a high vis and a hard hat.
That's right.
Which he doesn't rock a hat as well as you do, but it was still, it was good to see.
But a white hard hat, wasn't. It's
the other interesting startup, I met several, but I'm just going to mention 2. The one was the Searcher Cloud, but the other one that I want to mention is the Cinerscope.
Yes.
Now, full disclosure, the guy in the Cinerscope that I met, Phil Lowen, is a friend.
Yeah.
And he joined them recently. But the kind of stuff they're doing, are you familiar with them, Nigel?
No.
Okay, so the kind of stuff they're doing is really fascinating.
It is hugely fascinating.
It's a big data play, big data and analytics play. And they can take in massive chunks of data and do unbelievably detailed analyses of trends in the data and connections in the data. And one of these, they have several demos on the site that they have, and the graphics are really good.
Yeah.
And
but those are visualization graphics of the data. It's not just graphics on the website.
Yes, exactly.
Visualizations of the data.
Yeah. So the presentation layer they have is really impressive and highly interactive, and you can drill down and down and down through the data.
Right.
And the kind of interactions that show up in the data that you would have missed completely because of big data are just phenomenal. And one of the examples that he gives, and it's on the site, as far as I know, is they took the mail dump from Enron.
Okay.
All the emails, the internal emails from Enron. Yeah. And they just threw it in. And this happened incredibly fast as well. It does it in seconds. So all the emails from Enron, and it shows up, like a heat map of all the connections, who's talking to who, and you can go in, and it shows up word maps as well, word clouds. Yeah. So what kind of terms were used, and you can click into individual emails and see who was saying what to who. And
the sentiment analysis as well.
The sentiment analysis as well.
That just blew me away.
Yeah.
The mapping and stuff you can do from the headers and the metadata within the email. But doing that sentiment analysis across unstructured data like that was just
incredible.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal. So for me,
sorry, was that involved in the chasing down the Jesus example
it could be, but in this case this was just they were looking for publicly available data that they could show as demos on the site.
Okay.
The as far as I know, and I'm probably wrong on this, but as far as I know, the app has only been available for 12 months or so.
Okay.
So it's not something that they could have done at the time Enron was an issue.
Yeah, sure.
But when you see something like that, it kind of gets me thinking, this is something that companies could do now to keep an eye on their employees, and you kind of go,
yeah.
There are pluses and minuses. Another example that he showed, or he's on the site, is weather-related data, where they're taking it in from multiple sources, and you can see the interactions between the data. And there's another few examples on the site as well. But it's just the fact that they could plow through enormous quantities of data in seconds and show up all kinds of relationships that you've never seen otherwise.
Was that the Energem winners as well that he used? They used the tool.
One of them, I can't remember which one used it.
I think it was the Energem winner. So yes, that taking that level of data actually. So they also have an IoT. Well, effectively, you
So
Took
Chris,
on to the
who
bank.
were the Inner Gem winners and what did they do?
It was a university. I think it was Southern California. No, it was Chico University.
That's right.
And they had a drone that did visual identification of weeds, and it was put back into the HANA database, and it did an identification, and it matched a weed killer against that particular weed, which then meant that they could specifically target specific weeds with specific weed killers, which dropped the amount of weed killers being used and put into the soil, and two, it would also reduce cost because they're not having to use as much weed killer, and they could graph over time in time series the actual plot of land, and you could see not just the size of the weeds and the density of the weeds, but you could then see how you can see more white than black in this case. So it was a really, really powerful demo for me. Out of all of the 8, I had 3 very definite favorites, and that was one of them. Very good use case.
And they were Inner Gem winners, and they were showcasing here at the Demo Jam.
Yes.
And they placed well, despite the fact that they had only 48 hours to prepare or whatever it was.
Something like that.
That's right. Yeah. So
they came second, wasn't it?
they did
Second in Demo Jam. Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Hugely impressive. Hugely impressive.
So
the one last thing that I wanted to mention on the show today was this thing. I don't know if you can see it there. It's this little Wi-Fi hotspot that I got, and for me, it's hugely useful because I come here to the US, 2-3 times a year.
Sure.
yes.
And I don't want to be using the roaming on my phone to get access to data. And I want to be able to have Wi-Fi, but it's often not available wherever I am.
Yeah.
So this little device, I can keep it in my pocket, and it puts a little Wi-Fi cloud around me, and it connects across different providers. It's not tied to a single mobile provider. There's no SIM card. It comes with its own SIM card.
You didn't mention that last night, so you did not. That is massive.
Yeah. Plus the data you buy the data online on the store.
Yes.
And you buy, say 5 gigs or 10 gigs at a time, and it's like 5 gigs is around $50, 10 gigs is around $90-something. So, but the data doesn't expire. So if I buy the data this month, I can use it again if I'm back here next year.
Yeah.
I can still use it. So that's really cool, because most of the other mobile providers, if you get a plan from them, you have to top up every month.
Yes.
You don't have to do that with this. Yeah. And the other really cool thing about this is, when you get it and you buy the data, you create an account on their site.
Yes.
And anyone else who has an account on their site can also use your Wi-Fi.
Wow.
And if they use your Wi-Fi, it counts against their account, not your account.
Oh, right. Okay.
So they're not sucking out of your data.
Yes.
But what happens is, if they do use your account, you get credit for it.
Yes.
Hence the karma.
It's a very simple model to Mimo from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's that. Yeah. No,
So
that's cool.
It's really quite clever.
It is.
Way, because then you don't have to worry about even though it's an unsecured Wi-Fi connection, you get that pop-up thing.
Exactly.
So that no one else can go, oh, the pop-up thing, I can't do anything with that. I don't know what the password is.
Yeah.
But then for anybody else who stumbles across it and logs in, and they log in, and then there's that whole kind of community type sharing arrangement.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
Exactly. So that's the stories I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you guys came across that you found particularly interesting that we haven't mentioned? Putting you on the spot now.
No, I think I think that we have it. It's we covered all the stuff on Demo Jam, the IoT space, just the general feel of the conference. I have to agree with you. The energy at this conference this year has been very, very good. And I think a lot of that was really teed up with Steve Lucas's keynote.
Right.
It was very energetic. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think that really set the bar, and people just kept going through with it.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah, no,
it was good. It's recorded.
Yes.
You can watch it as your homework.
Yeah. Nigel, was there anything you came across that we haven't mentioned?
Yeah, I think you might not have noticed, but I think a year ago at this conference, SAP, or maybe it was earlier this year, SAP basically took their new UI libraries that they kind of creating, threw them over the fence a little bit and said, we're open sourcing this, and called SAP UI5, HTML, CSS kind of libraries, now open UI5. But it wasn't, it was kind of partially open UI5 in that you could download a zip and install it and use, open source licensed components. But it's only just recently, about maybe a week or so before the conference, that they actually now have opened it on Git. You can clone repositories to your own account and start
Do pull requests and send.
start doing pull requests like every other normal open source project does on the platform.
That's right.
So it's very, very exciting. And obviously they had, they kind of wanted to send a signal to the market, when they did it initially. And it's just taken them some time to get through the internal stuff to get to the point where they're now at a point to, accept pull requests and that sort of thing. So the fact that that's now open, I think, sends a big signal to
Very much so.
Yeah, it's a good point.
other, JavaScript libraries to say, okay, SAP's really serious about this. I think it's actually the most open source thing that SAP has actually ever done.
It's interesting actually, because when you're talking about SAP sending a message and SAP's play on big data and stuff like that, we have to remember that because this is open, this is, well, anybody can use it. So when we look in a wider marketplace and developer enablement,
Exactly.
lots of other developers can use it, and SAP are interested in what those developers are doing, especially if they're doing big data stuff and that type of visualizations, like Flint was doing in ImageApp with the globe and flows and things like that. So it's a really, really good thing that SAP is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's it's obviously tied into OData. That's kind of where it gets its enterprise
Jobs.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So tied into OData. So that's kind of a standard that Google have used with Atom and obviously Microsoft. So can plug into SharePoint and those sorts of things. There's data sources, but also it also takes JSON as a data source as well. So anybody. That's right. So that's come in there. Yeah, it's been in for a while. So you can say my model is an OData model, my model is a JSON model. So anybody, you can get a Twitter feed as a JSON, JSON feed, and just plug OData into that, and then there you go. So I think it's awesome, and it opens up SAP to the languages that begin with P. Now they've just got to do the job and market it and get it out there and make awareness and all that sort of stuff. That's probably the biggest job, is actually writing the thing. But, so we'll see how that turns out over the next little while.
No trouble, dear man, of your caliber. Mine is completely different, but no problem, dear man like you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's it for today, guys. Short, truncated show due to lack of prep.
And sleep.
And sleep.
And sleep and caffeine.
We'll be back with a better prepared show next week. But thanks everyone for your time and your interest, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.